This is Lon Winters with Graphic Elephants.
This is Jimmy Lamp.
This is Matt Vassallo with the RhinestoneWorld.com.
And you're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
And you are listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by...
My name is Terry Combs, RG, regular guy.
And Aaron Montgomery.
We're just regular guys having fun and trying to make a living in this really cool and exciting industry.
I think we all want to succeed 100% of the time.
Seek to understand before I try and make myself understood.
Bring a ton of great information.
Coming to you live from somewhere dark, dirty, and dank.
All right. Well, welcome into the show. It is Friday, October 28th, 2022. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. Terry, today we're going to be joined by Cory Cissell, who's the VP of Customer Experience with Cap America. And obviously, being with Cap America, we're going to talk headwear. I'm not a hat guy, but I could wear a hat. I can grab a hat. But we're going to talk headwear trends. We're going to talk training. We're going to talk quality assurance. We're going to talk blank goods. I mean, this is going to be a wide-ranging conversation. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with Cory here in just a minute, Terry.
Well, and I thought it was interesting when we were talking to Cory before the show that, yes, they have inventory. We don't hear that very often.
That's right. So really looking forward to having that conversation and just, again, talking about headwear and talking about, promo market. And we're going to cover wide ranges of topics. So those of you regulars that are tuned in live here right now, we definitely need you in the comments. We want you in the comments, and we want to be having a great conversation here today. But Terry, we are ready for our news segment. We've got Matt Dixon joining us here from Graphics Pro today. So how about we just dive right into that, Terry, without further ado.
Let's do it. Great new segment.
All right, here comes Matt.
Hey, Aaron, Terry, regulators. Thanks for having me. Let's dive right in here. S&S Activewear announces its leadership transition. President Frank Myers becomes CEO as Jim Shannon translates to vice chairman. S&S Activewear says that effective November 1st, current President Frank Myers will be named Chief Executive Officer as Jim Shannon transitions from his role as CEO to vice chairman of its board of directors. Myers joined S&S in 2009, was named president last year after serving as chief financial officer and chief operating officer. Myers says the business strategies and operational leadership at S&S are not changing. Next up, we have Delta Apparel, which appoints Patrick Bowman as senior director of DTG2Go. Delta Apparel announced the addition of Patrick Bowman as senior director in its digital print business unit, which took effect October 17th. Prior to joining Delta Group, Patrick was vice president of operations at Doxim, a document technology solutions company. Patrick was also a captain in the United States Marine Corps, proudly serving 6 years of active duty. And since 2013, he continues to serve in numerous executive level positions in the United States Marine Corps Reserve. Next up, we have A4 Apparel acquiring LabFit. A4 Apparel announces that it has acquired LabFit Sublimation, a manufacturer of sublimated teamwear, uniforms, and lifestyle apparel. With the acquisition, A4 has appointed industry veteran Todd Levine as president. Mark Mertens will remain the organization's CEO and chairman. And lastly, I'd like to announce that Graphics Pro Expo has announced its 2023 schedule starting in Irving, Texas on March 9th through 10th. And education begins on March 8th at the Irving Convention Center. That's all I got, guys. Back to you.
Awesome.
All right. I love that new segment.
Yeah, it's so good. And if you are tuned into the live broadcast, you can check it out. Just right above Terry's head there's a QR code that you can scan, and that will get you signed up for their newsletter, where you can read more about these topics and many more. And Matt, great job, man. I appreciate you joining us and delivering the news. Like Terry said, it's a fun new segment, and we appreciate Yeah, I was telling Matt when we were out at Printing United, when we kind of started talking about this new little segment, we were doing a news segment, but you and I were basically reading off of their script. So why not bring in bring in the people that are doing it? Plus, again, I think this is a great way for our industry to learn and stay tuned. So all the guests that we've had join us with the news, they've got these newsletters that you can get and stay up to date. So make sure that you're subscribed to that. Again, right above Terry there is the link, and you can there you go. Look at that. Terry's the great Vanna White. All right. Well, Terry, so another quick news item, so to speak, from our side of the world here, right above me. If you're tuned in live, the 10th annual Industry Awards are in season right now. So yeah, if you'll head over to bit.ly/RG10 nominations, right? We are now accepting nominations, and you can also just go over to the website tworegularguys.com and check it out. But nominations are open until November 10th, and Terry, as far as the nominations go, I mean, this is the important part to me, right? This is all about recognizing the people in the industry that are helping others, and so we will on November 11th on our show that day. We will read through every single nomination. We'll let you know who's going to be in the running for the voting and all that other stuff. But this is your chance to go out and say, hey, Terry's really helped me. Eric's really helped me. Other people have really helped me. I want to recognize them, and so go enter those nominations.
Absolutely, and great response. Even Reggie Awards Year 1, and this as you've mentioned many times, Aaron, this is the only award that is given, the only nominations that are given that are from the people participating in the industry. So we're really excited, and we always meet new friends at during these awards. There's always somebody, I didn't know that person.
yeah. That's definitely the bonus for us, is we get to meet new friends. But yeah, being able to be that vehicle to just recognize people, and it's a lot of fun too, right? It just, you get a chance to everybody to, it's competitive. It's not, it's a people's choice. It's all that kind of stuff. So it's just something different, and we really enjoy being that kind of vehicle to make that happen. So, all right, Terry. Well, I know you also have some very exciting news. At least I was super excited about it, because I know we've talked about this for a little bit.
For quite a while. Yeah, my new book is out, Beer, Bait, and Barbecue: The Secret and True Origin of Vampires Upon the Earth. You can get it at on Amazon for all of our podcast listeners. I'm holding up a copy of my book. And I've been working on this for a long time, and then I sat on it for a long time, but here it is, ready for Christmas, because what says Christmas or Halloween more than the origin of vampires?
The origin of vampires, the secret and true origin of vampires upon the earth. I love that. And for you podcast listeners out there, we made just a little short link for the Amazon place. So it's decorators.inc/BBB. That stands for beer, bait,
and barbecue.
Awesome. Well, Terry, I wrote in the notes on the outline for the show, exciting, right? This is really exciting, man. Congratulations. And I'm looking forward to it. I've got my, I've got it in my cart. So we've got a couple other things we've got to pick up this weekend at the good friends at Skynet. So that will be showing up to me shortly. Looking forward to it.
Skynet indeed.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, Terry, let's fall right into the dad jokes here. Based on Beer, Bait, and Barbecue, I felt like this dad joke would be perfect to, just the season, the fact that your new book's out, right? So I'm putting the pressure on myself. So.
Time.
All right. Well, before that, though, I do have to bring in Kim Johnson's comment here. She said, "Ordered mine. How do we get it autographed?" So,
well, when I'm done with the podcast, you can just come right in here.
Yeah, that's right, Kim Johnson. Hey, Kim, you'll have to get an autographed copy from me and send it over.
And for Dane Clement out there, who asks me every time I see him, "Hey, when is that book going to be ready?" It's ready, Dane. I'm going to send you a copy.
It's ready for sure. I love it. A couple other quick, I guess, for whatever reason, I kind of changed my setup here, so I got to get used to it. So that's why I'm looking way over here. So regulators checking in this morning. We've got Justa checking in from Sweden. We've got Fat Dad Wholesale. Good morning, Todd. How are you, sir? We've got Kingsbury Crafts and Charles. Good morning, Charles. Todd says, nom like nominations, not like nom you're going to eat wings. It could be both. It's fine.
Hey, Todd, by the way, somebody asked me yesterday, hey, where can I get some DTF transfers if I don't want to print them myself? They should be calling you, man.
I love it. I love it. David Haynes says, I bought my copy a couple of days ago. So nice.
Thanks, David.
You're baiting barbecue out in the world. And I love the title because you think that you're going to get into something a little bit different, and then you get zombies. So
vampires, but yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Kim says that's actually my copy he's holding up. So
it is her copy actually.
Okay.
It came
All
yesterday.
Right. All right. Excellent. Okay. Well, are we ready for the dad joke now, Terry?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So, Terry, what do you call a zombie who cooks stir fry?
I don't know. What do you call a zombie who cooks stir fry?
Dead man walking. And clearly it's a groaner because Eric had to put it in parentheses. So,
well, hey, Aaron, I ran into another Halloween dad joke last night. Can I share that one? And
yes, please.
Eric's like, wait, what? It's at the bottom of the outline. Eric, you ready? I know what the scariest thing about Halloween is, and his wife says, which is exactly. Which is
see, we needed the banner. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Eric. You got to give him a little heads up. All right. Well, excellent. So Terry, let's keep moving. Actually, can I give one other quick shout out before we kind of move? I'm jumping around a little bit, Terry, but one more quick shout out here. Christopher Kretz, who's with Kretz Family Designs in Phoenix. Actually, I got to connect with him on LinkedIn, and he's actually helped us line up a new guest that's going to be joining us on December 2nd. That guest is Travis Ross of Make Your Mark, and he's going to be talking about print on demand. So just wanted to give a shout out to Christopher for helping bring that about, and it's been great to connect with him on LinkedIn. So if you guys know any guests, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Facebook. You can connect with me probably just about wherever. So let me know, and we'll get those guests lined up. But thanks to Christopher. Yeah.
And speaking of getting connected, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for those new guests. If you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of our show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on anywhere that you're listening to your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts. We are everywhere. So please go in there and give us your reviews. And we're always looking forward to your comments and questions during the show.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to that for sure. And thank you guys for tuning in. So real quick before we get Cory in here and we start talking about headwear and all things, everything really, right? I love a good show like this because we get to cover the gamut, right? And Cory's looking forward to hearing from Cory here. But let me share with you guys really quickly from our success group about mindset in our business. So I want to share with you 3 mental states most business owners struggle to master. It's goal setting so that you believe it's possible. It's facing fears to be able to step outside of your comfort zone. And finally, taking action even when you're not sure what action to take. Now, 90% of the challenges business owners have faced have nothing to do with the nuts and bolts of running a business. It's not the accounting, the production, or even the marketing. It is the mindset. Now, as entrepreneurs, we need to cultivate a mindset that we were never taught in school. All right. Well, to hear more, to learn a little bit more, go to that link, osg.link/mindset. And love to share more about that concept with you guys. So, and if anybody has any questions, please let me know. But thank you there, Eric. osg.link/mindset. All right.
Aaron, during your commercial, I had a call here, and it said unknown caller. That's chapter 1 in my book. unknown caller.
Oh boy! So the zombies are already coming for you. All right. And Dean says, "You mean you just don't open the doors and they come, Field of Dreams style?" I'm guessing, right? So, all right. Well, let's get into it here, guys. Thank you guys for again tuning in and excited for our guest here. So, as VP of Customer Experience, Cory strives to establish service levels and requirements for 3 key departments: customer service, marketing, and art. He develops and implements methods to record, assess, and analyze customer feedback. He is also responsible for the development and implementation of training and quality assurance programs for new hires and experienced employees, and oversees the weekly, monthly, and yearly goals of a 90-plus team members. So welcome into the program, Cory Cissell from Cap America. Cory, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Happy to be here for the invite.
All right. Cory, your job encompasses everything we talk about on this show for the last 10 years. So, well, hey, let's jump right in, Cory, and share with our listeners how you came to be in this industry.
Yeah, so my journey into the industry is a little different than some, and probably the same for some. So I'm a part of the family. So my parents started the company in 1985. I've been a part of the industry, for a long, long time. Kid and going to trade shows or being at home, while parents are gone, going to trade shows. As we were growing up, I have brothers and sisters, and you couldn't graduate from high school or college and then come straight in. It was important that whenever you graduated from college that you go out and then you work for 2, 3, 4 years somewhere else in a different industry, for different managers, different owners, and then you'd have the opportunity to come in. So I left college, was a membership chairman at a private golf course, and got to meet a lot of great people and play golf for a long time, and then made the switch and came over to Cap America in 2012. Yeah.
Excellent.
I love that story, and people should take note of that when they bring their kids into the business. That go out there into the world and see what it's like working for and with other people, and bring that knowledge back to us. I love that.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I worked obviously full time in college for a car dealership, and then a video company, and then, like I said, the golf course. But I learned so much along the way. From working for different corporations or different private business owners, the types of incentives that they have, the types of pay ranges that they offer, so that brought a lot of light whenever I came over to our business on things that we could obviously adopt or things that we didn't want to implement.
Yeah, that's major. That's awesome. Okay. Well, Cory, company name's Cap America, so obviously I think the starting point where we need to start is talking about hats. Right? Let's talk about headwear trends. What are they today, and what should our listeners be kind of looking for? What are you seeing out there in the headwear space?
Yeah, it's changed. Obviously I've been in the industry almost 11 years now. So many people that'll listen to this have been in the industry a lot longer than I. But things have changed greatly even over the last 10 years. When I got into the business, the large majority of goods that we were moving were more price point items, right? Value goods. The last 3 or 4 years, it's been more about premium or higher end products, So right now, we have Flex Fit in the Cap America line, which has been incredibly popular over the last 3 years. We did a co-branding venture with Flex Fit LLC. So they manufacture our premium line. So the caps are no different than what you would see from Ping or Travis Matthews or Hurley or Hui or all these brands in retail. But essentially, they'll have the Flex Fit branding on the inside and they'll have Cap America branding on the inside. But these are high-end premium goods, literally the nicest caps that you can purchase in the world. So those have been very, very popular. Other things that we've seen that have been popular are a part of our traditional line. And whether it's a performance fabric with like laser cut technology with all the perforations, which have been really popular in retail, or whether it's the trucker craze, right? Trucker caps have been on fire for the last probably 7 years, to be quite honest. We have over 40 different trucker styles within the line. Those have been popular. And then we still obviously move a lot of price point items. People that they want a nice good, but they want a fair or a lower price point, and we move tons of those. Yeah.
Nice.
We had
the second part of that, whenever we're talking about trends, right? Because one thing is styles, like style of headwear, and then another thing is talking about trends within decoration. So I know we might be talking to some decorators today. Cap America does a lot of decoration. We have over 500 heads of embroidery. They run 24 hours a day.
Wow.
So that's both flat and 3D embroidery. And then we do a lot of patches. So a lot of people that listen to this will probably hear about patches or have heard about patches quite often. And what we see a lot of is leather patches, both the embossed and laser etched. Those are incredibly popular now because that's what's really driving retail, right? Whenever you go into outdoor retail or whenever you go into retail in general, maybe like within the sports market and things like that, you'll see a lot of embroidered patches, a lot of laser edge patches. You'll see a lot of woven patches. Those are very popular. And then another distinction between any type of patch, of course, is then you have sewn on patches, and then you have heat sealed patches. Yeah. And there's a huge difference between the two as far as turn time, because sewn on patches are incredibly labor intensive, right? Because you're hand sewing each patch on. One thing that's hard to find right now is experienced sewers, right? Because a lot of younger individuals, they don't have experience sewing, nor they might not want to learn how to sew. Most challenging work. So finding highly skilled individuals to sew patches on is a challenge. Whereas heat sealed, you can go to stalls, you can buy a heat seal machine for, let's say, I don't know, $2,000-$3,000, and then it's simply just applying the patch on the front of the cap, hitting the green button, comes down, you got your dwell time, and then after it's done, you remove the cap. So we both, but I could see sewn on being a real challenge for a lot of people because of the simple fact that you have to find that skilled labor.
Well, Eric Campbell is our show producer, so yes, everyone's heard about patches. And, also we had a recent guest who was talking about headwear, and he said he had a customer say to him, hey, just give me a cheap hat because it's a giveaway. And his response was, well, you want a premium hat because you want them to wear it, right? And so it fits right into what you're talking about with the direction of your company.
That's a fantastic point. And I think a lot of people have kind of missed the boat along the way of thinking that I just need this cheap item, right? Because I'm going to just throw it off the back of the truck. But the fact is, if you don't give away an item that people want to use, you don't get any impressions, right? Impressions,
exactly.
That's giveaway. That's the whole point. So whether it's a hat, a pen, a coffee mug, whatever it is, you're way better off to spend a little more money per item and have less items out in the marketplace that are accumulating impressions than to have a million products that you throw out in the marketplace and nobody,
Yeah,
exactly right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, in our show prep, you were telling us about in your company converting from old systems to new ones, automating workflow as well. Talk to us a little bit about what you're doing along those lines.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of a new ERP integration right now. This started with our CEO, Mark Gammon. I'm not sure you guys might know Mark. He's been in the industry for a long time. Great guy, forward thinking. Obviously, he's here to make sure we're on the right path 5-7 years. So a few years ago, we were obviously on a growth curve that long term, we need to have a more efficient. We need to be able to reduce paperwork. We need to be able to redundancies. We need to offer more information to our customers. And it's hard to do that if you don't have a great system backing you and your customer service staff. So we vetted a lot of companies. We ended up going with NetSuite. And I think PPAI actually signed a deal with NetSuite. So they're going to work with them in the future as well. But as far as, we could talk about this forever, but what makes, just kind of shorten it up a little bit, what we're going to be able to do is run more efficiently. right, with the same number of employees. And we're also going to be able to allow customers to have dashboards within the system and go in and say, here's the orders that I've done previously. Here's the artwork that goes with those orders. If I want to place a repeat, not having to send an email maybe, and being able to go into your dashboard and say, hey, I placed this order on September the 13th, literally hit a button that says reorder, boom, flows right into the factory. And then on the flip side, being able to see orders that are already sent to the company and see work in process. Like, is that on the floor yet? Is that in the QC phase? Has it shipped? If it shipped, what's tracking numbers? And having that information more on demand and not having to pick up the phone or having to send an email and then wait for a reply.
Yeah, that's really just kind of thinking ahead, right? And you talked about that a little bit, thinking ahead, and so I guess, Cory, that leads me a little bit into talking about websites, right? What's obviously you talk about being able to just place those reorders and stuff like that, but tell us, kind of give us your opinion on why staying current and user friendly is so important for today's business model.
Yeah, so over the last 6 or 7 years, we've done a really good job on the website as a company. However, with this new ERP, which you mentioned here, and a new website comes along with that as well, right? So websites are challenging. For one, they're not cheap, right? And it takes a skilled team a lot of time to build out a new website, to load everything on the back end, and then of course having a staff member or obviously contracting that out to make sure that you can keep everything current along the way. But it's very, very important because as everything changes in our world and people want to, you pick up the phone less or send less emails and kind of eliminate some of that communication and simply go online and do all of their homework, right? Find all the information they need and even submit and secure an order online without any communication. That website essentially is the face of your company, so being able to have your customers be able to go on the website, collect all the information they need, whether that be through obviously text form or maybe even video. Video is really important right now. And one thing that I'm working on the new website is having product videos on every product page. Obviously YouTube's, been popular for a long, long time. And then even all these social platforms, whether it be TikTok or Instagram, Pinterest was popular for a long, long time. But being able to have high quality images and high quality videos talking about product, maybe talking about materials or types of decoration that can be used, all those things are very, very important.
Continuing on with that conversation, depending on which politician here 2 weeks before midterm elections or news channel you're listening to, we may or may not be in a recession. I guess we'll know for sure after November 8th. Yes, we're in a recession. But let's talk a little bit about marketing and give our listeners some ideas about how to stay top of mind during a financial downturn. Is that a
Yeah, so I long time ago, especially public forum, but staying top of mind in a recession is very, very important. You can look back all the way to, I think there was a study there was a case study not that long ago I saw about Post and Kellogg, the cereal companies back in during the Great Depression. And I think Post had been the number one player forever. And I think Kellogg was, I don't even remember, like 5, 6, 10 times smaller than them. But obviously, rolling into the recession, one obviously trimmed everything back, right? We're going to go in, we're going to be super conservative. We're not going to spend any money. And then we're just going to wait until we go buy. Well, the other competitor, much smaller, they just doubled down. Took everything they had, put it into marketing, developed new products. And then whenever they came out of that recession, obviously, I think it was Kellogg ended up being much larger than Post, and then they've never given that back. It's been I don't know 100 years now, and they've been larger. But what you learn from that is obviously you can't get too scared running into these times. Strong companies that are making good long-term decisions, that are confident in themselves and investing in their marketing and their products and their services, you're going to probably come out ahead, and I say that loosely. But for Cap America in 2008, we did the same thing. Things were uncertain, but we were confident in our company. We had a strong company. We doubled down on marketing, tried to stay top of mind, whether that be in print, whether that be on web, whether that be continuing to offer, free samples and free digitizing and offering everything you could for free on the front end to secure the sale and then acquire the customer. And then knowing that you have good customer service, that you have good processes, that if you acquire that new business, you can retain long term, which leads to growth. So find what you're really, really good at and double down on that. And then make sure that you're not setting up any roadblocks to acquire any of these new customers, right? Whenever you might have new people coming to you. And then long term, obviously, make sure that you retain them,
Yeah.
No different than COVID, right? We just came out of COVID. That was a different situation, not so much recession, but crazy economic time for all of us. But what we did during COVID, and this kind of leads into inventory, but what we did during COVID, we have all these partners that we use overseas that make our blank caps. Well, what happened to a lot of our partners is there were other headwear companies who were doing business with them, and they were scared. And they dialed back and they said, we're not going to place all these container orders until we know what's going to happen, until we're more certain about the future economic times. Well, what we did, we supported our partners. And even though sales had decreased during that time, we continued to send orders for product that we didn't know if we were really going to be able to move or not, because we wanted to be a partner. Well, what happened is we quickly came out of, COVID, and then the orders flooded in. And then what happened is none of our competitors had inventory and flush, right? So we acquired all these new customers because we had competitors that didn't have inventory, and then we retained. Obviously, we hope to continue to retain. But that's us being up. We're up 60% this year in annual sales, top of a record year. So it's been very fortunate.
I love that example of 100 years ago. Either hold your cards close or double down, and we all saw it. We all saw companies doing that. Aaron and I have talked many times here about not a lot of innovation happened during COVID, and by the way, depending on the politician you're talking to, COVID is over or ongoing. But I love that example, and we certainly saw companies doing that, either holding those cards close or just saying, okay, how am I going to go after it? And that's a great example, and look at the result for you. I mean, that's incredible growth.
Yeah. And we've been very fortunate. We have great leadership. We have great owners, and we have great leadership. And, they steer us in the right direction. And then we have a great middle management team that follows instructions well and can implement. And we've been very fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I also love the part where you talk about, just looking. You guys weren't making decisions necessarily always completely on the dollar signs. It was what were the values. You were making decisions based on your values, and being good partners is clearly a value for you guys. And I think that says a lot. I think a lot of decorators, I think a lot of companies in general can learn from that type of thinking, right? Let's not worry about what the spreadsheet says. Let's worry about what's the right thing for us to do to be a good partner. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. Long term, none of us put our, right? Look at internally as far as the company, whether you have a great CEO or a great vice president, right? So you have to be able to have a sales team to secure an order, and then you have to be able to obviously produce it, and see it, and ship it, and bill it. If you can't do all those things along the way, the original order doesn't matter so much, right? Because if you can't fulfill it, it doesn't have a lot of value, obviously. So we look at it not only internally but externally as well, right? We have a lot of external partners, and if we don't support them whenever times are tough, they might not be there in the long run whenever we need them the most.
Yeah. Cory, during COVID, did you have any promotions saying, I know you're at home, but it is cool to wear a hat inside. It's okay.
That's actually a great question. And COVID, so what happened whenever COVID? Everybody went virtual, right? You saw Zoom stock, boom, go through the roof, and then go to meeting and all these companies because everything was virtual. Well, one piece of headwear with your logo, it's always on screen. So, found
true.
the high corporate market, people that are having the most Zooms or whatnot, we sold a lot of headwear to those individuals because they know that depending upon how closer you are to your camera or not, you might not see an impression on your chest. You're not going to see a coffee mug or a pen or any of those things, but you're for sure going to see, the logo on the front and center or something. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it for sure. Well, so you talked about, that you guys were able to, one of the questions from the regulators here from Charles, he says, are you guys blank stocks provider as well? So could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So for a long time, probably leading up into the mid 20 teens, maybe like into 2015, we wanted to sell all decorated headwear. We're a decorator. We want to make sure machines are running, and we took great pride in that. We did not want to sell a lot of blanks, and we did not want to do a lot of contract embroidery. We felt like it was kind of an insult to have people shipping in other headwear brands for us to decorate them. We kind of changed the way we thought about that quite a bit after 2015. We started offering our blanks, obviously. I'll talk about those numbers here in a little bit, but our blank sales are up 3 times this year over last year. But we also offer a lot of contract embroidery. And contract embroidery this year will do close to $2 million in contract. So we don't think it's an insult because most of the time, even if you are a decorator and say you have 30 heads of embroidery and you have a team, but if you secure a 2, a 5, a 10,000 piece sale with a short turn time, it might be better off for you to take those hats, ship them to Cap America, allow us to turn them in 5 to 7 days, free tapes, no setups, none of that, right? And just make margin on turning the sale, just being a salesperson and not having to do the work, not having to worry about spoilage and all those factors, So we do sell blanks. We sell a lot of blanks, more than we ever have before, and we're happy to do that. And those blanks, there's probably 150 stock styles. 1,400 SKUs if you're looking at styles and colors, and we have a massive amount of inventory. We have probably close to 6 million pieces on hand in Missouri right now, and
wow.
blank ship same day if you place an order before 2. If you're already set up as a customer, you can send a PO in the morning, boom, ship them out same day, no problem at all.
There you go. There you go. That's incredible because, one of the conversations we hear and see throughout, the decorators that we work with is that stock situation, right? Nobody has stock. So there you go. 6,000 pieces. That's pretty awesome. Million. Sorry. Yep, you're right. I thought million in my head and then the word 1,000 came out for some reason. Again, those shiny objects get me, and I saw something else. Okay. All right. Well, that's really cool, Cory. Thank you for sharing that. And Charles, great question. We mentioned in your bio that you lead a team of 90 people, right? So employees, right? Hiring is also one of those challenges that I think a lot of people face right now. And so I guess what is your secret, right? What's the tips there that you're able to bring the right people in and keep your workforce going there?
Yeah, so there's not an easy answer to this. So we came out of COVID in 2020 with 157 employees. And as of this morning, we have closer to 400, right? Very short period of time, ramped up from 157 to 450 to keep up with current workload. But we're in a different time right now for acquiring new employees. Some people, well, I shouldn't say some people, everyone has different values on it, right? Some people want to get paid the highest amount. Some people really appreciate a title. Some people want flexible hours. Some people want to be able to work from home. Obviously, work from home doesn't work on a production, but from a customer service or a sales level, well. And then you look at the incentives you provide. Cap America is a family-owned company, and we think of everyone in our company as a family member, right? They're part of what drives that business successful every day. So we have different things throughout the year to where on, 4th of July, we'll have a barbecue where all managers are outside. We barbecue all morning long, and then we go in and we feed everybody in the building, which is fun. We have catered Thanksgiving dinners. We have catered Christmas dinners for everyone. We like to do those things. We just put in a marketplace within like our cafeteria area, to where we hired a third party to come in and then stock fridge, like independent fridges all day long, just so that if you forget your lunch, you don't have to leave the building. You can go in there, you can grab what you need, and just not have to stress about it. Another cool thing we did whenever we implemented this marketplace is our owners gave everyone a $75 card to use in the marketplace. So essentially, every employee in the company, the first $75 they spent in the marketplace, it was free to them. And it's one of those things, that cost the company $30,000, but it provided so much positivity in the building. It's well worth it. I mean, there's no question about it. So whether it be increasing your pay, to be competitive, regardless of where you're at in the country, or whether it's making hours or the work a little more flexible for people, or incentives or bonus programs, all those things. You have to have a great HR department and management and look at it as a whole, and just really look at the package and what can we offer that separates us from all the other companies and competitors around us.
Yeah.
And just like you said, the money is part of it. Yeah, you everybody has to earn enough money to to feed and clothe your family, but it's the little things that separate you. And that $75 card, that is a card that says we appreciate you, and that is 90% of what people want out there in their job, and I'm sure every one of those people thought this is such a cool thing, and they went and told their friends about it. Guess what happened to me at work today? And we spend most of our lives at our jobs, and being appreciated there is a huge part of our internal happiness. So I think that you guys are doing some awesome things there. But we talk training here all the time. You have all those new employees. Talk to us a little bit about your own training techniques when it comes to new employees coming to work there.
Yeah. So once you acquire employees, obviously you have to train them, right? Which is much easier said than done. And most obviously know that. And then there's different scales of businesses. I didn't think we would be much over 300 employees. For the last 10 years, I thought 300 was probably the sweet spot. Or 1.5 times that. On the production floor, we look at a new employee as anybody that's been at the company less than a year, because it takes about a year to learn how to run a 15-head Baird machine effectively, right? And then really put out enough stitches per shift to make a huge contribution. In the office setting, it's a little different. It's probably 6 months or less. You're still new. And then by the time you're there 6 months, you should probably have enough experience to not be considered as like a newbie anymore. But what we see today for our company of our size, that it's incredibly important that we have trainers, right? We don't have managers training staff, or existing customer service members training new members. We have trainers, and we have proofers, and we have these people. And that's something a long time ago that we didn't need, because at one time, in 2019, we only had 26 customer service reps. Well, today, only a few years later, we have 77 customer service reps. It's a huge team. And I can't expect, Amber Vance works right below me, and she's the head of customer service. But if she has 5 new hires, she can't do her daily duties and train all those people. It would never work. So we have trainers below her that obviously have a set of guidelines that they use, and a process of you learn this first, and that leads into this next step, which leads into the next step. And then they have a week about for every different process along the way to get up to speed. And then they're plugged into a team, and then they'll work with a team. And traditionally on our teams, there's like a There's an account executive who handles all communication with customers. There's a customer service rep that helps them along the way, that they delegate work to, and they can answer the phone if they're needed or fill in. You have an account executive that's out. And then you have employees that don't want to be on the phone, right? I want to come to work and do a good job, but I don't want to talk to people. I don't want people to yell at me. I don't want to worry about any of that. I just want to enter orders. And then we have order entry, right? So as soon as they're hired, we go through orientation. They spend a couple of months with trainers. That's all that they do is train staff, and then they get moved into a team to work. Another thing that the trainers do, and that you have to be cognizant about this, is new staff are not the only people that need to be trained, right? Everyone has existing staff. That it doesn't matter if you've been there 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. You have things that you could improve on. You might not be aware of it, but managers above you should be able to recognize those weaknesses and then do continued training with those individuals as well. And part of those things, like we all look at our customers and we say, oh, XYZ does 3,000 a year. I would love to get them up to 5,000 next year, and then 8,000, and then 12,000. Growing that base. But you have to look at your employees at the same way, right? Like John Johnson, does a great job, but he could be better. It's the same way, and just continuing to further educate and further train existing staff whenever you have the time is incredibly important. That people need to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the you're looking at this from what maybe a lot of our listeners are going, my company they don't have the aspirations of getting there, but the cool part is the processes are all the same, right? If you're trying to do too much, you're trying to have like a manager train somebody at the same time, or shadowing somebody, that stuff doesn't necessarily work. You've got to figure out a way to have people be focused on what needs to be done, and bringing an employee up to speed. I can't think of too many jobs inside of a company that are that important, because your team is what's going to drive your success, right? So if you have an untrained customer service person, for example, they might be running off customers and you wouldn't even know about it because they haven't been trained into your company. So thank you so much for sharing all that, Cory. That's really incredible that you guys have built that there.
Yeah. And it's taken time, and we try to improve it every day. Sure. I'm obviously not happy with where it is today, because I know we can get better tomorrow, and the day after that, and that. And that is set from the top. My boss's boss, the CEO, feels that across the company. We're here every day to show up and do a great job and keep everybody happy on the customer side. And then whenever we go home, we're going to show up tomorrow and we're going to do a better job.
Yeah.
And really.
Yeah. And thinking about that, doing a better job each and every day, what I love about that kind of a mindset is it's not like, oh, we're not doing a good job, so I have to want to do better tomorrow. No, it's I'm doing a good job. Let's keep improving. Why not feel better the next day, right? And just kind of stacking those successes on top of each other, as opposed to I'm not doing a good job. Therefore, I guess people get this mindset that if I'm striving to do better, I'm admitting that I'm not doing a good job right now, and I don't think that's the case. And you're clearly making that point.
Yeah, it's not true at all. And if you've ever been on the sales side, in my opinion, you fully understand. I spent some of my time at the company as the national sales manager. The funny thing about sales, you'll never have your boss tell you, right? So whenever you come off of a record year, what do you have to do the next year? You have to sell more. You have to continue to increase and sell more and more and more. And I essentially, I took that same thought process and have implemented it in other departments. Like, you're doing a great job, but we can all do better. We can all become more efficient, without a doubt. I've learned that myself. I know that, in 2012, whenever I came there, I thought that I was doing all that I could do, right? Because I wasn't highly efficient. I was new to it. And I know today I come in, spend the same amount of time there, and probably do 4 times as much work. So it's all efficiencies and how you manage, how you delegate, how you use your time most effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we also talked about when we were introducing you, Cory, that quality assurance came up, right? And obviously, based on what you've been talking to us about, what we've learned from you so far, quality is a huge part of what it is that you guys do. And so, talk to us about that. Talk to us about quality control and why that's important and how you guys look at that.
Yeah, quality is incredibly important. You don't ever want to put out inferior work, right? Because that's really saying that your brand is less than, right? And the work that you put out has to be of high quality so that obviously the brand has a high perceived value, you know? And then on the back end, more simply, to be quite honest, once something leaves the building, we don't ever want to see it again, right? Because if you see it, that leads to credits, which comes out of bottom line, and then obviously a waste of time. And you don't want either one of those. So what we've done for a long time, and a lot of this stems from our vice president of production that put all these processes in place, is there's several different points of QC throughout the building. For our company, on your first order, like any new order, you get a finished sample for approval. So if you send me an order today, we take the artwork, we set it up, we digitize for free, we run a sample for free, and then we either ship that sample to you or we send you high-res photos for approval. So the idea is you've seen the finished good, you've approved it, we obviously log that, keep it on file, and we're going to run the order to the exact same or better standards and ship it. So there's no reason to ever have a conversation after that, you know? So we try to do everything on the front end to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to get and you approve it, and then we produce and ship the order the same way. Now, after you've approved the sample, there's still several other QC points. So our embroidery operators kind of have this, it's a type of bonus structure on a weekly basis, but it just makes sure that whenever they're running caps, that they're paying attention, that they're not passing anything along that's not up to the standard that it needs to be at, right? Because they know that two weeks from now, whenever that inferior product is received and then it comes back to corporate, that it's going to come all the way back down to them and say, hey, why'd you ship this hat? Or why'd you ship these hats? If you have that happen too many times, you lose your bonus, right? So those operators know that I need to put out high quality goods or I'm going to lose this free money. Now, after they do their part, so now we've had a sample approved, we've had embroidery operators that are incentivized to make sure that they put out high quality goods. Then it actually goes through the QC process. So I'm not sure how many QC people we have. I think it's around a dozen, 12 to 14. But we decorate and ship over 25,000 hats every day. And every single piece is QC, right? So everything flows over to QC, and then they literally go through and inspect every single cap. And then, we're kicking ones out that shouldn't be there. But once again, they're looking at every single piece, they're boxing them up, and then they go to shipping. So we try to implement all these stages along the way to make sure that by the time that box leaves the back door, that everything is up to the standard that the customer's approved.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. I love the fact you have several points of quality control because out there in the production world, the further you get away from where the mistake was made, the less chance it's going to be caught. Everybody always assumes, well, somebody would have stopped this already, so this must be right, and so several points of QC, that's an awesome concept.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Terry. The other thing that we do that it doesn't fall on the department or the embroidery department. We know that this sales order was ran by this specific embroidery operator. And then whenever it went over to QC, not just says that like QC approved we know that this person in QC inspected this order and then it shipped out the back door. So whenever we receive those problems, right, and the order comes back as inferior, then we can go back to that specific embroidery operator or that specific QC person and say, hey, just want you to know this happened here, and we can't let this happen in the future. So address every single issue, not calling somebody into your office and yelling at them or writing up or whatnot. You don't have those things all the time. I'm not one to lead by fear. I'm here to try to improve everyone along the way. So just having those conversations and say, hey, this happened. Here's how we can improve it. Let's pay attention to that, and let's get better. If you have the same issue with the same person 3 times, well, then you might have to take that avenue. But I'm a advocate of let's be on the same page. Let's talk this out. we're here to make each other better and then move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a quick question in from one of the regulators here. Mike says, curious about the workflow for that kind of volume. Do you have dedicated unpackers, hoopers, operators, finishers, etc.? Is that sounds like it a little bit?
Yeah. So whenever you're moving a lot of volume, everything your process has. So you need to look at your building on how things flow through the building, right? There should be a process. You don't want to start point A here and then move all the way over to here to B to come back to C and then D. And so you need to have a flow. So what happens with us is we submit an order that prints out to the factory. We pull the goods ahead of time. So essentially goods are pulled and then put into a staging area. And then from then they're assigned to embroidery operators, and from embroidery operators over to QC, and then over to shipping, and then out the back door. But you need to look at your own business and make sure that whenever you're moving goods throughout the building, that it's in an efficient manner, right? Yeah. Because whenever you're moving volume, those little efficiencies matter greatly whenever you compound it over months and years. So efficiencies on the floor are very, very important.
That's awesome. Really great point.
Well, Cory, we're coming to the end of our hour. So how can our listeners reach out to you? How can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere. So my cell phone number is 573-225-7020. My email address is coryc@capamerica.com. I'm also incredibly active on social, especially LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn profile out. Please reach out to me. And whether we do business or not, if you have questions, if you have needs, if you need recommendations for X, Y, or Z, reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help anybody who reaches out.
That's awesome, Cory. Wow. Thank you so much. And thank you for, giving back and being willing to help out. I love the fact that you guys are, have blanks. So I'm guessing based on this, we're going to hopefully get some new customers heading your way. So, reach out, tell them Cory sent you, and, you'll get taken care of one way or the other anyhow, but it's always nice to, all right, Cory. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. And, we'll look forward to, talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. Very happy to be here, and everybody have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Cory. Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a great interview and great information shared. And wow. I was surprised by the 25,000 a day. I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's a big number. But it's so cool though, right? I mean, he really broke it down in a real clear way too, and because you guys know me. I wear my small business hat a lot, right? Dealing with a lot of solopreneurs and people like that. But it's all the same. He talked about efficiencies. He talked about why making quality is important. Talked about taking care of the customers. Talked about leading with values. I mean, we got so many great nuggets out of that any company can use. And then the bonus is you get to meet somebody like Cory who's kind of. You can tell he's passionate about it, right? He lives this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Passionate about it. And
yeah.
And your small business cap from capamerica.com.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. capamerica.com. No, it's so cool. And I forgot to ask him, but I'll catch him afterwards in LinkedIn or something like that. But he mentioned Missouri. I knew he was kind of in the Missouri area, but I'm over in the St. Louis area, so I'll have to come down there and check out what they've got going on. So,
well, I was going to bring up the fact that I'm a big Kansas fan, so I don't know.
All right. Well, Terry, as you mentioned, we are getting down to the close of our show. No 5 things for you today. We're still looking for some 5 things from you guys, the regulators. So be sure to go over to tworegularguys.com/5 things, and you can check that out and submit, or you can submit in a lot of different ways. You can just there's a form right on there that you can type into. You could email us over a recording of you sharing them, or you can say, hey, I want to come on the show and present them myself. Anything that works for you, we want to have those 5 things. It's a great way for us to also be able to put you out there into the world and share your company. So your links to your company and all that other information are on our website. And so that's good for Google. Trust me.
And you can tell us 5 things you learned from Cory Cissell today.
There you go. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
And surely there are more than 5. So pick
yes,
the 5 best.
Top 5 things. We'll go with that. All right, Terry. Well, big book of travels. Dust it off. Are you ready? What's happening for you, sir?
Well, next weekend, November 5th and 6th, I will be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago doing my complete screen printing business course. And following up to finish out the year at Workhorse Products here in Phoenix, December 10th and 11th. And all my classes, both in Chicago and Phoenix, are for 2023 are up on my website, terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron? What do you have coming up?
Well, I'm home for a while, so the car is taking a breather. After my 23 hours out and back drive to Las Vegas last week, I'm ready to be home. So taking a break, but I do have one more thing coming up. It's virtual, so I get to do it from home. But I will be teaching a virtual session at Terry's favorite name for a trade show, Applique Getaway, and that is going to start on November 15th. And you can check out all the details over at osg.link/virtualag. And go check that out. There's lots of great presenters and lots of good stuff going on over there at Applique Getaway. Make sure, again, osg.link/virtualag. I think registration's all open and all that kind of fun stuff. So they are ready for you. That will be my weekend project, working on my seminar for Applique Getaway.
All right.
And then Eric is got his take up the usual Friday, Education Friday. I think Eric kind of like puts the bow on it. He's the headliner, really, in a sense, of Education Friday. So you can watch him today. It's episode number 133, talking about material matters and measuring up, where Eric was going to discuss how to work with new materials with both supplies and apparel, and focus on observation and measurement. So if you guys have watched any of Eric's stuff, he's such a good teacher, first and foremost, but secondly, he's just so detail oriented, right? And really kind of goes deep. Super smart too. I don't know why he hangs out with us, Terry, but anyway, so you check that out. EricCampbell.com is where you'll find that, and just click the Take Up tab, and you can watch all that. Also, a quick note to check out Eric's article on Craft to Commercial, and you can find that in the Graphics Pro Start Here issue, which is just out. So if you go over to Graphics-Pro, I think it's graphics-pro.com if I remember correctly, but just find Graphics Pro magazine and you'll be able to find that. And we'll have the link in our show notes here as well, so you can find all of our links and notes and stuff like that at tworegularguys.com. So Dean says, why wouldn't you fly to Vegas? Yeah. Many people ask me that. I even asked myself that about halfway there. But the flights were crazy, and I needed to get stuff in the booth. And since this was more of a Two Regular Guys thing, I had to be budget conscious. So getting everything in the back of the car and just driving over. And honestly, I'll tell you this, Terry, and everybody listening in, it was actually kind of nice, right? I mean, it was a long drive, but to have like that much just alone time to really kind of just be there with my thoughts, right? So I felt much better afterwards.
It's funny because when you said that, I was thinking of you driving and pulling over at like every truck stop and making notes of all the things you were thinking about. Thank
goodness for digital stuff, right? You just I pick up my phone and go, remember this thing, right?
But Dean, I flew to Vegas. It was 48 minutes. Just had enough time to get a drink and back down again.
And you could have driven there in like 4.5 hours, something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's all right.
I don't mind driving there, but after a trade show, I hate the drive back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the hard part coming back. But I did drive from Vegas back, and I made it to Amarillo that first night, Amarillo, Texas, and I went to the Big Texan. I did not take on the 72-ounce steak challenge, though. There was no chance I was doing that. But that was the first time I've ever been. I don't know what it is. I was of that era that my parents and we drove a lot, and I have family in like Texas and Minnesota and places like that. So we drove through Amarillo quite often, and always driving by the Big Texan. I always wanted to go there, so I had a chance to finally go there.
I did see a picture of that meal, and so your goal was Amarillo by morning. Is that
that's right? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So I enjoyed that, but then the next day's drive, I was meat sweats going on. But all right, Terry. Well, we have come to the close of another show. We want to thank Cory Cissell with Cap America. Get over to capamerica.com and check him out. And go buy some hats, man. There's some inventory out there. 6 million pieces. I think I got it right this time. But
6 million. That's incredible.
Very cool. Very cool. But thanks very much, Cory. We appreciate your time today.
And we also want to thank our show producer, as always, Eric Campbell, for pushing all the buttons and making us all look good every Friday morning.
Yep, that's right. That's a lot of work to make us look good. So, all right, Terry. Well, next week we've got a great show coming up for you guys again. We've got Jed Seifert from Stakes Manufacturing. You might remember Jed. He was part of that group talking to us about Printing United. But we're going to go deeper into what he's working on and disability inclusion in the print area. So hiring workers and that have some sort of a disability and how that works and how it not only is the right thing to do, but it makes sense to your bottom line. And he's really passionate about this subject. In fact, he led a panel there at Printing United on the topic. And I'm so grateful that people are having these discussions, right? How do we make that happen? You know, if hiring is a hard thing, maybe you got to look a little bit, change the way you look at things. And Jed's leading the charge with this. So going to be some great information next week, Terry.
Fantastic. Really looking forward to that. But until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.